Yo, what is up, and welcome back to the Mewcario. As always, I'm your host Mewcario, and today we're going over our League of Legends Road to Gold placement analysis. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So I made a kind of nerdy spreadsheet just to kind of analyze exactly what happened over my 10 placements. Overall, I finished with a 40% win rate, so 4 wins, 6 losses. 2 of them were mostly not my fault. We had teams griefing and just mindlessly trickling kills into the enemy team by going 1 at a time versus 5. Not sure why, but yeah, so I made this mostly for myself just to kind of see exactly what's going on per game, see which champions I'm good with, like average CS and that kind of stuff. So yeah, let's go ahead and just jump into trying to see exactly what's going on here. So Kaisa was my main champion played. I have 6 games with her, and of those 6 I have 2 wins and 3 losses. No, 2 wins and 4 losses. So pretty bad average with her. My KDAs with her is also pretty weak. 4, 6, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 8, and 7, 10, 7, 11, 7, 6, 3, 3, 4, and 2. So of the 6 games, I only went positive twice, and I'm pretty sure I actually ended, as you can see here, with a negative KDA. If we round it, it's even worse, so it'd be 5, 6, and 5. Which is not what you want to see with a Kaisa or with a carry, especially when you're talking about arguably the strongest carry in the game. I think what that kind of just boils down to is her positioning is so incredibly important for her to land her Q. You have to know when to Q so that you can try and get as many isolated missiles as possible. You have to be able to know where to ult to. You have to be able to land your skill shots with your W, when to go in, when not to go in, when to use your E to juke, when to use it to chase, all that kind of information. She's a very mechanically heavy champion in my opinion, and I think it's just a little bit too difficult for me to play with, or for me to play as, while I'm trying to relearn Summoner's Rift and try and really work on relearning the game and relearning how to CS and stuff like that. Trying to focus on all of her mechanics as well as all of that, I think is just a little bit too much, so I'm probably going to drop her out of my rotation. Same kind of goes for Xayah. Xayah only had 1 game with her. I started off really strong. I think this game I got like 3 or 4 kills in the first like 5 minutes. But I fell off really hard. I'm not sure exactly what happened. But just again, it's more of the same thing I was saying about Kaisa. Xayah's positioning is so crucial so that you make sure your feathers land in the right spot so that you can call them back, and that's where a lot of your burst damage is, as well as your CC root. She doesn't have any mobility, so she doesn't have a dash or anything like that. The closest the closest thing she has is her ult, which makes her untargetable, but she can still take damage in it. So I think at one point in that game I died to like a Mordekaiser ult or something like that. I thought it makes you invulnerable, but it just makes you untargetable. If you have things like ignite or poisons on, you'll still take that damage and you can still die. But the main thing is just, again, mechanically heavy. You have to have incredible positioning and map awareness just because she has no mobility. And again, I think that's just a little bit too difficult for me for the skill set that I have right now, and again, trying to relearn the game. Same thing goes for Ezreal. All 3 of them, in my opinion, are really strong champions. I think it would go Kaisa, Ezreal, and then Xayah, just because Ezreal has so many skill shots, but they're really low cooldown. Typically you're running some sort of like Manamune build or something like that, so you can kind of just throw them out. So even if you miss 3 out of 5, those 2 that you are landing are going to be doing a lot of damage. Another thing I wanted to point out is with Kaisa, as you can see here, game 1 in a 21-minute game, I'm only doing 4,000 damage. Another 28-minute game, 8,000 damage. 22-minute game, 8,000 damage. Like, my damages with Kaisa are super low. And again, I think it's because their positioning is so crucial, and I was so scared of bad positioning that I was just playing super defensive and ended up just not doing much of anything. Jin was my most successful champion to play with. I think he's really strong right now, but the one thing I really struggle with is knowing when to use my ult. So I don't know if it's best to use it to initiate so that you can slow them and get your team to be able to jump on them, or if you should use it as a execution, so as they're trying to run away, flash away, you use that and then snipe them down. I was trying to do a little bit of both in these games, and sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, but overall I think Jin is a really strong champion. I'm probably going to keep him in my rotation, but I don't know for sure yet. I think most likely it's going to be Ashe, Misfortune, and Lucian, just because those are 3 champions that are fairly basic mechanically, and I'm very familiar with them. Lucian is the first carry that I mained in like season 8. That was the last time that I like really tried to climb to gold, and I got stuck at silver 1. I think I got to promos into gold like 3 or 4 times, and for sure 2 of them I lost 2 games each due to like disconnects or people just trolling because somebody took their blue buff or whatever, and they were just like, yo, fuck this game. And yeah, I mean, again, that was a couple seasons ago, I don't really care, but yeah, because I played those 3 so much in that season, I'm fairly comfortable with them, so it's not like Kaisa where I'm trying to like learn new mechanics and stuff like that. I may throw Jin as like a random 4th pick, just in like certain team comps, but again, most likely it's going to be those 3. I also wasn't sure for Kaisa which was the best mythic to use. I normally build her, again, I normally play ARAM, so jumping back into Summoner's Rift has been a bit chaotic for me, but I usually build her with shield bow just because I value the utility and the lifesteal on the shield just a little bit more. It gives me a little bit more of a crutch. So I'm not used to playing with Kraken Slayer. I tried the first 2 games, or the first game I guess, with Gale Force, but it didn't seem to be doing that much. A lot of the times when I used it to dash in, it either wouldn't target the person that I thought it would, because maybe one person got chunked or something like that, so then it switched, because I think it's based off the lowest maximum health or something like that. But yeah, damage was fairly low across the board. Again, mostly because I don't think I'm that good with Kaisa. Just to kind of put things in perspective, the 2 games that I did with Jin equal almost like 4 games with Kaisa. So that just kind of goes to show you. Excuse me. Just kind of goes to show you just how bad I was performing with Kaisa. And again, maybe that it wasn't all my fault. Maybe it wasn't all bad positioning, because like these 2 games, specifically this one, I had a Nico that was stealing my CS as my support, and he was also just kind of trolling, or not, the Nico wasn't trolling, but somebody on the team was trolling, I forget who. And I think it was the Hecarim, because we like lost the lead really early, and they just all gave up, and they're like, yeah, well, like, what's the point? So they just started inting, and it was just like, yeah, I just won out and you guys won't surrender, so I'm just gonna feed. And it was super frustrating. That was a pretty unwinnable game just because of the game's attitude, or the team's attitude. And then game 10, everything was going pretty good early on, but then at one point they just started pushing mid, and for some reason we just kept trying to 1v5 them under turret and would just die, then the next person comes up, die, next person comes up, and it was pretty bad. The last 2 games, man, they were really rough. But yeah, this is basically all that happened. I averaged a 6, 5, and 7 KDA amongst all of the champions in all 10 games, with 12,000 damage, which is pretty terrible considering the average minutes is probably somewhere around like 25. 40% win-loss, also pretty bad. And yeah, so I think the things that I need to work on the most are, as you can see down here, map awareness, so that I don't push too much out of tower, so I don't get ganked or get jumped on, or I can appropriately rotate if something's happening in mid or happening in dragon. I can help more often, because I know for sure in these first 2 games that was something I was lacking. I wasn't really rotating as well as I could. And then positioning, I mostly mean for team fights, making sure that I'm trying to get in and not being scared of the tank that's trying to peel me or something like that, because it feels like, again, as you can see, my damage is really low, and that was partially because in a lot of the fights I didn't see a way in, so I stayed kind of out the outskirts. Sorry about that, I think I just had a stroke. I was staying along the outskirts waiting for an opportunity, and that opportunity just never came, and me as the carry, I was doing 0 damage in some of these team fights, so my kill participation was pretty trash. And yeah, I think I just really need to work on the positioning in team fights especially. And then, as I kind of talked about a little bit, I need to just switch from these complicated champions that have a lot of different mechanics and stuff like that, like Kai'Sa, Xayah, and Ezreal, throw them out and add in more simple champs that I'm also really comfortable with, in the form of Ashe, Lucian, and Misfortune, and hopefully that'll fix a lot of the problems that I've been having. But I think that's gonna do it for this video. Just a really short kind of overview of how everything went. I'll probably be doing this every 10 games just to see if I'm actually improving and what's going on, and just kind of compare for myself how I'm performing on this road to gold, and keep tweaking the things that I think I'm lacking. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. I appreciate you guys for clicking. If you have any comments or feedback that you would like on the next spreadsheet, or champions that you want to recommend, builds that you want to recommend, go ahead and leave that all in the comments below. If you liked the video, hit it with a thumbs up. If you didn't, hit it with a thumbs down. Just let me know how I can improve. But in the meantime, enjoy the rest of your day, because I'm out of here. Bye.